Welcome to another session on object-oriented programming. Today we are going to discuss two keywords, final and super. So basically, object-oriented programming, as we discussed before, will provide us the flexibility in software development. So from these keywords, we are looking at how we can restrict our flexibility as well as how we can improve our flexibility. Okay, so final and super, as I said before, are to imp, are to provide some restrictions and flexibility. Okay, final keyword is used for restrictions. Super keywords will allow us to access parent class members. So, in other words, it will provide us some level of flexibility. Right, final keyword, where we can apply final keyword. So we can apply it to variables, methods, as well as for classes. So let's go all these three steps one by one. So when we are defining a variable, typically we define with the data type, variable name. Optionally, we can provide a value. So here we can say integer ID, which is 1001. If we use final keyword, that means this is the last value, final value you can store in this particular variable. After that point onwards, you will not be allowed to change this value. So where it is useful. This is very much useful. This is very much useful for you to set constant values, constants, some factors. For example, if you are calculating salaries, you will have some factors to be divided to calculate overtime. You will divide your entire gross salary by some number of hours, which is defined for the entire system. So we can define those hours in final variable, and so that your end users will not be able to change those values on their own. So final we can be applied to variables. Then we can apply final keywords to the methods as well. So when I defining a class, I have a class vehicle. Then I can say final void run. Run is the method. Void is a return type. Void means you are not returning anything. When I say final, that is the method implementation. Now then, when you extend this vehicle class to a car class, you will not allow to override the run method. You can't override the run method. You have to rely on the superclass method. So that is where you use the final in methods. Then final class. So I can define a final class like bank, and I can have different methods. So if I have a final class, that means you cannot extend this class. So you cannot extend this class. This is the final class you can have. You are not allowed to extend this. So that is the usage of final. So you can see even though we call from the object oriented programming, even though we call it flexibility, with final we are restricting our flexibility. We are restricting variables, methods, as well as classes. We will not allow to override or assign different values or extend the classes with using final keyword. Now let's go into the super keyword. Uh, so super keywords used in inheritance to access the parent class members. So again, there are the places where you can apply. Now one is access parent class variables. Right, let's go by the example. So I have a person class, and then I have a string name John. Now I extend the student class from the person. I have a person class where the variable is a string variable called name, value is John. And I have extended the person class to a student where the variable name is uh, name, and I have assigning a value. Now, what I have done is, even though I have extended this to a student class, I have overwritten the value of the parent class. However, there can be instance you need to know what is the parent value of this. For example, let's say you are dividing up the person hierarchy. Manager, you are extending the manager to an employee. But if you want to know this employee's manager's name, manager's details, that is available in the super class. So what you can do is, by using the super keyword, you can access the parent value. So here, if you look at the child name dot name, and if you want to see the parents the class value, or if you want to see the super class value, you can use the super keyword by saying super dot name. So similar, so when you're calling it, uh, this will call the current class, and this will super dot name will give you the value from the parent class. That is where you can access the parent class variables. Then how you can access parent class methods. So if you look at this particular piece of code, I have animal class, and I have a method called sound, and I have few implementations. Then I have the dog class, which is extended from the animal class, and then I have a sound method. Now I can say I have overwritten the sound method, but let's say I want to call the parent sound method. So how can I call it? Calling super.sound will call the, not the, now if you don't have the super keyword, it will call current, the method of the current class. But if I using the super dot keyword, that will call the method in the super class. In this case, it will be the animal class. So next one is the call parent class constructor. Now, where the parent, the constructor is called. If you recall, during the constructor session, we discussed parent is called when you are creating an object. So now when I want to define, let's say I want to, so I have the child. So again, I have the parent class, and parent uh, child is extended from the parent class. When the constructor is called, I want to call the parent constructor first. Probably there are some variables in the parent class, so I cannot access those the variables from here. So what I can do is I can call the parent class constructor in the subclass. So that is where we use the super dot keyword in the constructor to call a constructor, right? So final comparison, final keyword, it's a restriction. You are not allowed to be using the final keyword. You will be not allowed to create the variable will not be able to change, method cannot be override, and class cannot inherit. By using superclass, you have that you can access the parent class members, you can access variables, you can access methods as well as constructors. So hope you understood this. Let's discuss more detail in next time. Thank you.